Could a single nation trigger the next global conflict? That's what some people seem to think, with the recent escalation of conflict between Israel and Palestine. In this episode, we're exploring a toxic blend of history, politics, and military actions that'll leave you on the edge of your seat to find out if Israel is starting World War III. We'll go deep into Israel's rough history, from its birth during fiery conflicts to its position as a high-tech military powerhouse. We're going to look into top-secret alliances, high-stakes diplomacy, and a tense technological arms race that could reshape global power structures forever. Stick with us as we piece together this complex puzzle through hard facts, expert analysis, and in-depth research. We'll look at how Israel's actions go far beyond its borders, touching nerves in global capitals from Washington to Tehran. At the end, you'll be questioning everything that you thought you knew about Israel's role in the world. Are they one of the chess players or the chess pieces in this global game reaching its boiling point? But first, on December 12, 2023, the UN General Assembly called for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. This session gripped the global community. The resolution was clear: a call to silence the guns and tend to the wounds of war. The vote was a test of global unity and part of the world's desire to prevent a larger catastrophe. The vote was nothing short of a resounding consensus, with 153 out of 193 member states supporting it.
153 in favor, 10 against, 23 abstentions. Draft Resolution A/ES10/L27 has been adopted.
The end of this call for peace echoed through the corridors of power throughout the globe. Here's where the plot thickens. The United States has always been a firm supporter of Israel. Naturally, they voted against the resolution and were one of only 10 countries to do so. This move was a complete contrast to the majority's opinions, and it sent ripples through international diplomacy. Many people began asking what this meant for the US's role in the conflict. Others asked how this position aligns with a broader quest for peace in the area. Historically, the UK and Germany have supported Israel, but during this vote, both nations chose to abstain. To many people, they saw this as reflecting the changing dynamics in international relations over the Israel-Hamas conflict. So, what does this mean for the world at large? Are we witnessing the threads of a larger conflict being woven, or is this a moment of collective realization that war is not the answer? However, the USA has given more than just approval to Israel. They've given substantial financial support as well. To date, the USA has given Israel an astonishing $158 billion in bilateral assistance and missile defense funding. This clearly symbolizes the deep-rooted alliance between the two nations. This support has included everything from advanced weaponry to missile defense systems. The USA's support has helped to shape Israel into one of the most powerful military powers in the region. Let's travel back to the period between 1971 and 2007. During these years, Israel received significant economic assistance from the US. This aid played a crucial role in stabilizing and growing the Israeli economy. Think about that for a moment. During the 2000s, the conflict between Israel and Hamas escalated dramatically after a series of military confrontations that shook the region. In particular, the 2008-2009 Gaza war was a significant turning point in the conflict. This was known as Operation Cast Lead and included a 3-week military campaign, resulting in widespread devastation and loss of life, predominantly Palestinian. In the years that followed, tensions eventually simmered. But although there have been times that they once again boiled over, rockets from Gaza met with Israeli airstrikes in a tragic cycle of violence that seemed to have no end. There have been multiple attempts at ceasefires, which have been broken. With each round of conflict, the possibility of a lasting peace appears to drift further and further away. The most recent conflict began with an incident from April 2023, when Israeli security forces stormed the Al-Aqsa Mosque. This incident was a spark that created a firestorm of reactions, both regionally and globally. The Al-Aqsa Mosque is a symbolic structure for both Muslims and Jews. For Muslims, it's the third holiest site in Islam. For Jews, it's the Temple Mount, where the mosque stands, that's important. It holds deep historical and religious significance for followers of both religions, making a point of fierce political and ideological conflict. In April, the tensions in Jerusalem were already running high. It was when Ramadan, Passover, and Holy Week were all crossing over, a clear clash of religious ideals. Against this explosive backdrop, Israeli security forces entered the Alaska Mosque Command. Currently, the reasons for this incursion are disputed. The Israeli forces were apparently there to evict Muslim worshippers who were trying to stay in the temple overnight. Either way, the response to Israeli forces was immediate and intense. Worshippers at the mosque were shocked by the intrusion and reacted with a mix of anger and defiance. Soon enough, the confrontation became even worse, with reports of injuries and chaos within the sacred walls of Alaska. The impact of this event wasn't confined to the mosque's ancient stone walls. It became a symbol of the larger Israeli-Palestine conflict and the ongoing historical struggle over land, sovereignty, and religious rights. For Hamas, the incident of Alaska Mosque became a significant moment. They positioned themselves as defenders of Palestinian rights and the Islamic faith. They used this event to take action against Israel, leading to the October 2023 surprise attack on the state. Hamas used the event to gain support and justify their actions against Israel. However, that's not the only twist in this story. It had wider implications, sending shockwaves throughout the region. This act of storming Alaska was seen as a declaration of further war by many, and it didn't go unanswered. Enter Lebanon and Syria, two neighboring countries that also have a complex history intertwined with Israel. They apparently decided to retaliate. Just imagine the rising tension as rockets launched from Lebanon and Syria, hurtling towards Israel. This was a statement of solidarity with the Palestinians as well as a direct challenge to Israel's actions. Soon enough, the skies over the border became a battleground, with each rocket carrying a message of defiance. Israel soon responded with its own show of force. The Israeli military is equipped with advanced weaponry and backed by years of combat experience. They launched airstrikes targeting locations in both Lebanon and Syria. Publicly, these strikes were an attempt to neutralize the immediate threat, but there's also another purpose. They were a display of military might, a warning to anyone who would dare challenge Israel's position. As we ask ourselves if World War III has begun, it's crucial to understand the significance of these events. This conflict is more than just a local skirmish. It's part of deep-seated historical, religious, and political tensions that have the potential to draw in larger global powers. The USA is a superpower with significant influence in the region, and we've already seen how it's been a long-standing ally of Israel. On the other hand, Hamas has its own set of allies and supporters, including countries like Iran. This is despite the country being declared a terrorist organization by the US and the EU, further complicating the picture. The situation is a clear reminder of the complexities of the Middle East, where every action has a reaction. It's a region on the edge, where peace is a fragile dream and the threat of a larger war is a constant shadow. In this intricate dance of diplomacy and power plays, the risk of escalation is ever present. A miscalculation, an overly aggressive move, or a failure in diplomatic channels could potentially draw in these other powers, creating a domino effect. We've already seen countries like Syria and Lebanon become involved. Yemen also began a blockade on Israel-bound ships on the 12th of December. This added more complications to the regional dynamics. Who knows if other countries will? It's possible there could be wider involvement in the conflict. However, the leap from regional issues to global conflict is not a simple one. Today, the world is interconnected in ways that were unimaginable during times of previous world wars. Global economies, international organizations, and a web of diplomatic reactions work as checks and balances. These prevent the potential for a full-scale global conflict. Plus, the shadow of nuclear warfare and the catastrophic consequences of a world war are powerful obstacles. Many members of the international community are aware of these stakes and have been proactive in seeking diplomatic solutions. Of course, we can't deny the possibility of conflict. It's not just about armies marching across borders anymore. It's about influence, economic sanctions, and strategic positioning. The question remains, will this cycle of retaliation and counter-retaliation lead to a broader conflict, or will cooler heads prevail in the quest for stability and peace? Only time will tell.